Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by Kennesaw State University's Executive MBA program. The accelerated degree program for working professionals looking to advance their career and enhance their leadership skills. And now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, KSU's Executive MBA program. Without them, we couldn't be sharing these important stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Allyson Eman with Venture Atlanta. Welcome.
Thanks, Lee.
I am so excited to get caught up. For the two people out there who aren't familiar with Venture Atlanta, can you talk a little bit about mission, purpose, and how you're serving folks?
Absolutely. So we are the largest venture capital conference really on the East Coast that connects tech companies to capital. So we're here to help companies grow and help them get funding.
And how long has Venture Atlanta been around?
17 years, and I've been running it the whole time.
The whole time. So what's your backstory? How'd you get involved with this initiative?
Yeah, the funny thing is, never had any thought that I would run a venture capital conference for a living. So I was actually in banking, again, not what I was looking to do in college. Thought I was going to go into journalism or television production, and ended up in banking. Then ended up running the marketing for a mortgage company. Took that company from 8 employees to 800 employees, 30 offices nationwide. And then during the lovely mortgage and banking crisis, lost my job there. And, really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but knew I wanted to do something totally different. And, when they say sometimes things fall in your lap, well, this kind of fell in my lap. I had a friend who worked at Normosi Partners, and she kind of did the phone call one day of, hey, was standing at the water cooler and they're looking for an executive director at the time. I'm now the CEO, but an executive director to run this new venture capital conference that they want to bring to town. And my initial reaction was, I have no experience in tech, no experience in venture capital, and not really sure I'm the right person for this. But I put my name in the hat. And, the interesting thing is I kind of got some backstory that most of the people that they interviewed did have that experience, had worked for nonprofits, had, some background in venture capital and tech, but it was the marketing expertise and the passion that I had and the energy that they felt like I brought to the interview that helped me land the job. So obviously, when they interviewed me, they showed me a logo and said, this is what we want you to build. And that's what I have. So it's something I'm super proud of. And, I know it's been instrumental in helping, companies raise almost $8 billion and see almost $18 billion in exits. So really, really proud of what has been accomplished.
Now, any advice for anyone else in the association world that maybe is hiring a new executive? What can you glean from, coming from not a traditional kind of background when it comes to association management and things like that, but still able to achieve a great deal in that space? Any advice or do's and don'ts when it comes to launching or rebooting an association?
Yeah, I would say just because the person you're interviewing doesn't check all the boxes doesn't mean they're not the right person. I mean, I didn't remotely check all the boxes, but, they dug deep and learned more about me. And I remember Alan Mosley saying, I don't care that you don't know a lot about venture capital. You can learn that. We can teach you. So, is the person that you're talking to, or how can the association grow, or how can this person bring expertise, through their other skill sets that could help, So again, I don't think it has to be, a person who has the exact skill set to mean that they'll be successful.
And is there anything like tactically you did to help kind of give Venture Atlanta the escape velocity it needed to, last 17 years and make the impact that it has?
I definitely pride myself on execution and, really putting myself in the role of, if I was an attendee, which I'm always saying, what is the experience that I want? So every single decision that I do, I'm always putting that hat on. What would the attendee want to be? How can I ensure that I execute this in the best way possible? So, I mean, I kind of go all in every single year. And, the funny thing is that, my friends and my family are all like, oh, it's like an old hat for you now. It's not, it's not old hat. It's a new event every single year with different things, with different people, with different problems, with different challenges. And you've got to, adapt every year. But, my biggest thing is that I don't go, same old, like not at all. Venture Atlanta's never same old, same old.
Well, speaking of which, what can you share a little bit about this year's event? What, for anybody who hasn't attended, or for people who have attended many times, what is going to happen at Venture Atlanta this year? Maybe that's different or special.
Yeah. So, what's so exciting is Venture Atlanta, when it started, was really a day and a half. It was a day and a half. There was maybe a dinner that kicked off things the night before the conference, and maybe another dinner that happened. Well, oh my goodness. Like, if you look on our website, we've got things happening on Sunday this year, 2 days before the conference, partnering with Avon South and partnering with Dell for Startups on a pitch competition that they're doing. And on Monday, there is a slew of activities for founders, for investors, for people that are coming into town to build connections. And then the conference first kicks off on Tuesday. And we've got, as always, new and exciting additional programming. We always look at how can we serve our community in the best way. And one of the things we're doing this year is actually bringing some executive sessions to the conference, where we're actually going to put, 25 or so founders in a small setting, in a small room, with executives that are teaching them, things about top 10 things to look at, and I wish I had the names of the sessions in front of me, but basically all learnings from their experiences in growing companies, in what they saw, and how to execute, and really tactical hands-on things that will help these founders grow and build their companies. And also, again, we just continue to bring great keynote speakers. Our keynote speaker this year is Dawn Staley, who is the USC Women's Basketball National Championship head coach. So really looking at leadership, looking at performance, looking at, challenges. And, we always want people to walk away with Venture Atlanta, not only making great connections, but learning.
Now, you mentioned when you're kind of curating the event, you're trying to look and empathetically as the attendee. So if you were giving advice to an attendee, how would you recommend they attack this multi-day event with so many different things to take part in? How would you kind of go about kind of wringing out the most value from it if you were an attendee?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually send out an email in advance of, kind of like a know before you go type thing. So we send out a link to the whole attendee list, obviously not with contact information, but name, company, title, participant type. So you could know if it's an entrepreneur, an investor, or whomever. And we also send out a link to our digital conference book, so you can really look at what companies are going to be there, what sponsors are going to be there, what speakers are going to be there. We've had the schedule published for months. So I tell people, do your homework. If there's certain people that you want to meet, we're handing everything over to you. We've got a mobile app that's opening next week, so people can set up meetings. We've got over 100 meeting tables that will be at the conference for people to connect with each other, and additional open meeting areas. So everything is not going to come to you. Yes, you're going to run into people sitting at lunch or in the hallway, or it could be in line at the bathroom, or whatever the case may be. But if you're a founder, know what activities are available to you as a founder. We sent out an email yesterday just highlighting, just a little highlight of the schedule to the founders. That email got, I think, a 75% open rate, and everyone's signing up for events like crazy. So, we're handing everything to you. You gotta do a little homework too. You got to actually look at the schedule. You got to maybe open the mobile app and download it. And, I think people that truly have a deep understanding for who's there and what's happening have a great experience.
Now, is there any stories you can share over the 17 years of maybe the most rewarding or inspirational kind of connections that were made, or deals that were done, or people or relationships that were created through the event?
Yeah, there's so many fun ones. There's a couple good ones that I really like. One is there's a company called that was called Car 360. Bruno Francois was the CEO, and he pitched at our event one year. And the next year, I think they were looking for, someone to come in as their CEO, and they, found John Hanger in as an attendee, and he ended up, taking over Car 360. Well, then another year we had Ernie Garcia, who's the CEO of Carvana. He was one of our keynotes. And I remember Bruno texting me saying, can we please, come to the conference? And I was like, oh, we're sold out. Mark Cuban's the keynote. It's packed, standing room only. And he was like, we just really want to see Ernie Garcia. We want to talk to him. And I was like, I can't have you, guarantee you can talk to him. Well, he and his wife kind of stalked him at the bathroom, like stood outside the bathroom and waited for him to come out. And they kind of grabbed him and were like, hey, let us show you our technology. And Ernie Garcia ended up buying the company. So that little move. And I remember one day they called me and they were like, hey, we want to take you to lunch. We want to thank you. Look what you did for us. And it was just so cool, like such a fun story. And another one of our companies, same thing. It was, entrepreneurs tend to wait till the last minute. Another one where it was like, please, can I have a ticket? And I was like, again, oh, we're sold out. We're really full. And please, Allyson, so somehow I always end up bending. And he came to the conference and he ended up sitting at a lunch or something next to a fund that ultimately gave them $25 million that he was raising. So he was like, oh my God, thank you. And sent me a gift. And again, my premise here is not about people thanking me, but it's just about, it just was some great stories. We have, I went to an event in North Carolina in December. I felt like everywhere I turned, someone was like, I met this fund at Venture Atlanta, who's now on my cap table, who's now one of my investors, or, these CEO roundtable sessions. Someone told me that after sitting through those, they ended up, the guy that was leading the session ended up becoming one of his investors and sits on his board now. So, there's just been some incredible stories over the years. And, I know there's hundreds and hundreds of them, but those are just a few.
Now, how have you seen the ecosystem evolve in these 17 years? At one point, I'm sure when it started, this was like hey, this is a crazy idea. Let's see what happens. And now 17 years later, it seems like the whole region is embracing this and there's a lot more collaboration. So are you seeing that as well as the Southeast kind of now the hub, and it's evolved well beyond Atlanta?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, when it started, we were a 300 or 400 person conference just focused on Georgia, and our goal that first year was really to bring outside capital to Georgia. We only had a handful of funds here, and we didn't have things like Atlanta Tech Village and the Russell Center and Tech Alpharetta and, all of those type of things. We had ATDC, incredible organization, but we didn't have all the others that were in the sprawling markets across the city, even things in Augusta and Columbus and other markets. So, not only has the ecosystem in Atlanta evolved incredibly, so has, there have been incredible growth in the Carolinas, in Tennessee, in Florida, in Austin. And so, we sat and looked at, what made sense. And what made sense was for us to kind of, we've said before that we're kind of the Super Bowl where, there's regional events all over the place and certainly some massive conferences around the country, but, Venture Atlanta really is the largest. And, we've looked at these other organizations like in Tampa Bay, in New Orleans, in Austin with Capital Factory, in the Nashville Entrepreneurship Center, the, Innovate Charlotte up in Charlotte, and really talk to other groups about partnering with them. And, this year we really saw some incredible partnerships where these organizations were reaching out to me saying, how do we get involved? How can we get our companies front and center? Generator, a group out of Birmingham that we're working with this year, and they're actually coming to Atlanta and, building a clean tech accelerator with Cox Enterprises. So, there's so much exciting stuff going on. Also for us, we've also seen some great partnerships with corporates. So, this year, I think we have the most corporates we've had in a long time, but, Georgia Pacific and Southern Company and Home Depot, Chick-fil-A, Cox, Goldman Sachs, Invesco. I'm sure I'm missing Wellstar, Dell, Wells Fargo, a lot of those are new, new partnerships for us. So we're excited. We're thrilled to have Dell this year and Wells Fargo and Chick-fil-A. Like those are, 3 big new sponsors for us.
And so it seems like it's getting to the point where it's very collaborative and everybody is kind of trying to work together and, kind of be complementary in terms of helping each other grow each other's kind of market, but using the best practices of what each of you are learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of always say we play nice in the sandbox. We promote other people's events all the time. We have a wonderful relationship with the Florida Venture Conference, and the Florida Venture Forum, and with, CED up in North Carolina, and with the Nashville Entrepreneur Center up in Nashville. And that's super important to us and super important to me. And, we help each other out with tickets, and we help each other out with marketing, and, we've sat on panels for each other and done different things. And it only helps us and helps our companies if we work together.
So what do you need more of? How can we help you?
So, at this point, the last several years, we've sold out, about 10 days before the conference. So there's still time, but we do still have tickets left at this point, and tickets are still at their lowest price. So, founders can still get a ticket for $350 and investors and service providers for $850, but all those pricing goes up on Monday. And, everyone starts scrambling and, oh my God, I didn't know. And, obviously we've had this pricing set for months. So everything's on our website, full schedules on our website. At this point, we're not looking for sponsors. We're not looking for companies to present, but, we selected 87 companies that'll be front and center at Venture Atlanta this year. There's hundreds more entrepreneurs that'll be in attendance. So should be a lot of fun.
And if they want to learn more, they can go to ventureatlanta.org.
Yes, .org, not .com.
All right. Well, Allyson, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks for having me.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio.